Okay. Oh, thank you. Good morning, everyone, and thanks for joining us. So we are on page 164, but I want to talk about an idea from 163. I think it's a very powerful concept and something that um, personally, think that it manifests in all parts of our lives. And really, there's a very deep core, um, philosophy and idea that's in this thought that if we work on it in lashon hara, but also and really in all aspects of our lives, it can make a tremendous difference. So the example that they give is, regarding a business person. Someone has a business, right? You're in business, you're a lawyer, you're export, import, you're this, you're a doctor, right? Whatever business you're in, right? There's a ton of information that you need to know. You need to know all the different tax laws, states, right? You need to know the different. You need to know all the different parts of the body. You need to know all the different obscure laws. If you're a lawyer, whatever it is, right? You need to know all the different. There's so much information you need to know. The example I always like to give, right, is because is someone that sort of these sports broadcasters, or you bump into some of these sports mavens, right, fanatics that they know these obscure, small, tiny little piece of information. Someone's batting average, in batting average in 1977 from the first the first couple of months of his career, right? And how that contrasts to his last couple of months of information. Whatever these obscure, crazy, data, information, and and I always wonder, like, how do they remember this? How do they remember all this? And the answer is, right, let's read the first paragraph. When someone owns a business, he knows every aspect of it. And you remember sales figures for the past 10 years, he has a mental list of all the vendors, shipping rates, currency exchanges, and tax laws of 4 different countries. And the breadth of his depth of his knowledge seems astounding to the others. And he learns more every day. How do you keep so much information in your head? Someone might ask him. What's the answer? No doubt he answers, it's my business. And it's my business to know, right? And it's the same thing, right? How do these sportscasters or these people that know these obscure, or if you're a movie maven, right, and the actor from the episode of whatever, and who this and what he ate and what she ate for dinner on some crazy night, because that's what you're passionate about. What does it mean it's your business? Right? It's my business. Means to say it's something that I have to know. It's something that I'm passionate about. It's something that I realize that I have to know it. Right? I'm assuming probably everybody here knows their social security number off by heart. Right? You know it. That's Okay, so it's not that much information, but still, it's a couple of digits. Right? You probably still remember your phone number from growing up. I know I do. Right? Probably. Right? There's probably a bunch of other things that that because it's something that you are deeply connected with. It's something that you realize that this is something that's important to you, and therefore your brain digests that information on a totally different level. On a totally different level. And this, my friends, they're using it over here for lashon hara. When a person is motivated, motivate his mind, can absorb vast amounts of information. Therefore, the only reason someone might be murky on what constitutes lashon hara is that he hasn't yet found the motivation to learn. He hasn't decided that it's my business to know, right? And this is something that is, I believe, across the board. Right. I've been asked, oh, how do you remember so much of the Talmud or whatever it is? Right. And I'll be honest, there's so much more that I need to know. And there's so much more that I need to remind myself. I know myself, the things that I've to studied harder or really put my heart and soul into, I remember much better than things that I just looked it over quickly, right? And it's the same thing with everything, right? There's so much law. Yes, the code of Jewish law is four sections, and each one of those sections has hundreds of laws, right? 613 is just a ploy to make us think that it's not that much, right? 613 and 613 categories. There's hundreds and thousands of laws. There's ideas, and there's passages, and there's, how do we remember all that, right? We remember all that, right, through making sure that we make it part of who we are. We're passionate about it, right? It's something that we care about. Just like if it's my business, right? It's my business. I got to know something that I got to know. And this, my friends, is across the board. It's literally across the board. And of course, it has to do with Lashon Hara. And Lashon Hara is just one more piece of information, right, that we learn. Right? One more piece of information that we learn, that we try to acquire. Right? And that's another way to make sure that we remember all the different laws. Right? But this is something that's for everything, for laws of Shabbat, for laws of prayer. Right? I'm telling you, I've seen same people start off at the same time learning, right? about the same, knowledge. I would say probably similar intellect. One never knows exactly, but it may be a little less than the other one. And one grows much more than the other person. And what is it? It's their passion to know. It's their connection. It's their desire to grow from the knowledge that they're learning. They internalize knowledge. They don't just, okay, as we said in Pirkei Avot this past week, right? It's not just hit me, Rabbi. Let me just get a little, hit me with some inspiration. That's not how it goes. You have to sit down. You got to learn. You got to study it. You got to digest it. You got to internalize it. That's the key. You got to internalize it. Because when you internalize it, it becomes who you are. And this is something that is so important in all our learning, right? For Lashon Hara, of course, also it's one of the pieces of information we have to learn, one that has a lot of details and has the 7 categories and this and what happens if you have this one, you don't have that one, and this scenario and that scenario, and a lot of details. But all laws have that, right? Laws of kosher, right? A lot of details, right? Laws of Shabbos, a lot of details. The laws of linen and wool, a lot of details. There's so many different things. The laws of prayer, right? Or someone said, "How do you remember when to stand and when to sit?" And you're right. For someone that it's foreign, it seems so overwhelming. And I know I've walked in situations where I feel so overwhelmed. Right? Oh my gosh, I can't believe it. Like, how do they know this? They look so cool, common. This, it's because this is what they're passionate. Becomes second nature. And that, my friends, is something that we all have to reflect on, and something that we all have to work on, is to make Torah, Judaism, right, part and parcel of who we are, right? That it's something, as Pirkei Avot says, Ethics of Our Father says, I say your Torah has to be kavah. What's kavua? Kavua means it's something that's stationary. What does it mean, something that's stationary? It means to say that it's not so much how much time you learn. Of course, the more time, the more you have time to acquire. But it's the quality of the learning. It means to say that the Torah has to be something that this is what I'm doing and nothing else interferes. It's kavua, it's stationary. Nothing moves it. Right? Not even a make-believe hurricane that we're getting hit by, right? That's north of us and really going to affect us, but they make it a big deal out of, right? But whatever, right? Nothing, right? Nothing will move that. Learning is learning, right? And that's what I'm doing. I'm stationary. I'm not allowing things to interfere, right, with my learning. That's when you get to the level of showing that importance, right? Lahavdil, right? Lahavdil means to say havdalah, to separate, right? So we say lahavdil when we're talking about something that's spiritual to something that's not spiritual. Not necessarily bad, but something not spiritual. I knew someone, right, that told me, right, that he was a major hockey fan. Now, football fans are crazy. Hockey fans are also pretty crazy. Right? Not probably in Florida, but more like in Canada, right, or Detroit. And I was speaking to someone that's a crazy hockey fan, right? And he told me, like, he said, I never missed one game this season. I missed one game. I said, even like a lot of games that are Saturday night, right? He said, yeah, right after Saturday night, we made a Havdalah straight from synagogue. We just zoomed down to the ring, right? We paid extra for VIP passes, right? Whatever it is, like to get through parking, like valet parking, and we didn't miss a game. Didn't miss a game. Remember one time I was sick. I didn't miss a game. Like, okay. Like, that's like okay. Right? But for him, that's kavah. That means to say he's so important, and that's why he knows all the stats, and that's why he knows every hockey player what they ate for supper and lunch, and what toothbrush they use. Right? To me, that's not so important, right? So, okay, good. I'm glad that you know that. I'm glad that you haven't missed a game. Yes, I like watching hockey, right? But that's not gonna. That's not my schedule. My life's not gonna revolve around it. But that's showing kavah. That's the lahavdil, right? Separation. We have to try to show a similar dedication to our Judaism, to come to shul, to listening to classes. There's interruptions, and a lot of them could be legitimate interruptions, right? Of course. But we always have to try to figure out a way of doing it. Reschedule, listen to it later, whatever it is. When we do that, that's showing the importance of what we're learning, and then we internalize information better. We're able to keep the information better. So that's just an important thing to reflect on, right? As we're learning, right, and growing. And as I said, it's not just Pirkei Avot, right? I mean, sorry, Lashon Hara. Of course, it's Lashon Hara, but it's everything in our lives. It's everything that we learn and everything that we digest. Any questions or comments? Okay, let's move on. Let's turn the page to page 164. Day 52. Excuse me. So the scenario is like this. Let's try to get a couple of scenarios today. Scenarios like this. It's an interesting case. You're shopping at a local men's clothing store, or woman's, or whatever. Right? When a boy comes in, tries to put his shoes and runs out the door wearing them. You know who the boy is. He's a troubled kid who seems to have, for a thing for nice clothing and shoplifting. The owner notices the boy's pass by the cashier and breaks into a sprint. The owner runs after him, but the boy's quicker, right? And the boy disappears around the corner. If you find that, you hear the owner say, if I find out who that kid is, I'm going to smack his face and drag him off to the police. He can sit in jail. Right? May you tell him the identity of the boy. Right? So on one hand, right, the guy just lost something. On the other hand, right, the guy just got some steam. It could be he's just letting out some steam, and it's more than just he means it, but it could be that he does mean it. And the boy, the boy's troubled, and the outcome will be a lot worse. Now, we're not God. It's not for us to play God and to make decisions based off what the final outcome would be. But regarding Lashon Hara, sometimes it does make a difference. All right. So what they say is like this: if the victim can be expected to try to retrieve his possessions or money using methods that are not acceptable by halacha, the witness should not identify the wrongdoer, right? Wrongdoer for him. So the answer is like this, right? And that's why they gave this scenario, right? That back to what we spoke about this before. You are allowed to give information when the outcome is not going to cause a halakhic problem. Right now, a lot of times you have to do the right thing. What the outcome is, the outcome is going to be. It's not always your fault, right? If someone whatever, right? There's many different scenarios, but if you have to do the right thing, you have to do the right thing. What's going to be the outcome? How is it going to affect someone else? That what they might cause them to do the wrong thing. Not always is that your concern, right? But over here, when we're talking about speaking, right, and we're talking about within the confines of speaking, right, is making sure that you also don't cause lifnei ivrim. I mean, so you don't cause someone else to do something wrong, right? Because by you telling the person who the kid is, right, and you know that this person's going to go over to the house with a baseball bat and start smacking up until he gives the shoes, right? So then it's not only are you enabling this person to do something that's wrong against halacha, right, which is a problem, but again, you're doing the right thing. That's that person. You gave the information, and this person's decision what to do. It's not like you're putting, a great smoking, unbelievable, non-kosher barbecue in front of someone, and person just started eating kosher, and it's a tremendous thing for him. That, of course, you're not allowed to do that, right? You're doing something that you're supposed to be doing, right? The problem is that the outcome of how this person's information gets it, he might do something wrong. That's not necessarily your concern. But the difference over here is that it's affecting someone else. And the difference is it's affecting someone else. By you, right, by you doing the right thing, and that person might do the wrong thing, but that person doing the wrong thing is affecting a third party, right? That's where the difference is, right? So therefore, the halacha is that if you know, right, for certain, right, or very, very likely that the person's going to use the wrong method, so then you can't tell the person. What could you do? You could go speak to the kid's parents. Okay, go speak to the kid and say, hey, listen, I know what you did. I know you're having a hard time, but it's really the wrong thing, and try to get him to give the shoes back, right? There's other things that you can do, right? But regarding halacha, right? Again, since it is affecting someone else, right? So then that's a different thing, right? That's not the right for you to go ahead and do something that will affect the third party. And that's where the halacha over here is. And again, this is something that every scenario will have to be asked exactly what is being affected and who's being affected and how it's being affected, right? But it's trying to give you a picture that you know what to ask, right, when you get into a situation. Because this is a case where it's easy to ask. You don't have to give her an answer right away. You can come back later and say, I just wanted to let you know, I just realized that I recognize a kid. There's ways of coming back later once you ask a halachic authority, right? It's not something that needs an answer right now. And that sometimes is. Sometimes there's times when we need an answer right now, and it's harder, right? But this is a scenario where you don't. And a lot of times these kind of cases, you don't need halachic authority. You don't need to give an answer right this minute. Any questions or comments? Okay, so let's move on. Okay, let's move on to the next case. Let's try to see if we can catch another case on here. Page 166. So the halakha is like this, right? You have been married for 6 months and your wife doesn't appear to be adjusting to married life, right? Or vice versa. The guy doesn't seem to be appearing to married life. Her formerly confident, sunny personality has become, more. Her formal, she was always happy and whatever. Now it's become a little more, right? She doesn't respond to your effort to make her happy, right? You're confused, disappointed, and don't know what to do. May you tell your best friends what's going on. All right. So this is just one scenario, but a lot of cases, something that's going on, right? You need a confidant. You need someone to talk to. You need someone to, have a discussion. But over here, right? It's negative, but it's not negative, right? It's not that she's doing anything wrong, right? It's not like she did an aveira or something, And I'd like to see went ahead and ate pork, right? Or cheated on taxes or something like that. But it's something that's still an attitude, right? And it's a personality, and that's also lashon hara. And number one of the things that we take out from this is talking about someone's mood, right? That is a negative connotation is also lashon hara. We have to remember that. That's also lashon hara. Talking about someone's mood that's a negative connotation is also lashon hara. Right? Let's remember that. All right. So, but over here, you also need someone to bounce off or to talk to. All right. So, what's the halacha? What do you guys think? Any thoughts? Anybody?
Yes.
Any thoughts?
Yes, you should talk to your friend.
Okay. So you say you should talk to your friends. Okay. Anybody else?
I think the instinct is to talk to your friend.
Or if
Right
you have
or
a
not.
therapist, you talk to your therapist.
Well, can you always get an appointment that quickly? Like,
No. I mean, if you have an ongoing, but otherwise you have to talk to somebody.
Okay, so first of all, it doesn't sound like this is like an urgent thing right now. It sounds like this is an ongoing thing. So theoretically, you could probably call a therapist, and this is not something that dramatically does a change and boom, right? That sounds like this is, even though it's 6 months, but it's something that sounds like it's ongoing. It could be 6 months, it could be 4 years, it could be 20 years, it could be 5 years, right? Things happen all the time. And again, it could be not necessarily this scenario. This is just an example, right? So the consensus is that everybody agrees that you have to talk to someone, right? The question is who to talk to, and don't forget the very important thing: what could you say? Right? Don't forget, and that is something that's very important. So let's see what they have to say. You should certainly be allowed to discuss the situation with the rabbi or counselor. All right. So number one, you can definitely speak to someone that has the ability to be able to help you, right? So if it's your rabbi, right, or if it's a therapist or a counselor or something like that, right, someone that will be able to give you advice, not someone that you just go play pool with and swig a beer and just let out all your sorrows and oh yeah, you'll be fine, or yeah, you're right, right? That's just, it feels good, right? But it doesn't really help out, right? It helps out by you just letting it off your chest, but you're not really getting any constructive, help in a way of how to deal with situation, right? If your friend is someone that knows what he's talking, been married for a little while, or someone that you trust and has wise words, which a lot of times friends have a lot of wise words, right? So then that will fall under the category of someone that is able to help you, right, in the sense of giving you advice, right? So they're giving examples of a Rav or a therapist or counselor, whatever it is. But if it's a good friend, right, that has a head on their shoulders and give you some advice, right? So that falls under the same category. Doesn't, just because the person doesn't have a PhD, right, or some plaque on their wall, right, doesn't mean to say that they can't give good advice, right? Just FYI. So that's number one. Now, the Chavetz Chaim says that even outside, right? Chavetz Chaim says that even outside the context of a professional, person may be allowed to share such information simply to relieve stress. Right? So this is what we were talking about beforehand, right? You need to relieve the stress within the confines of Toelis. And don't forget, this is within the confines of Toelis. It has to be something that you need to relieve that stress. It's something that is beneficial, right? This would also apply only to the truly challenging situation, not everyday irritation, right? You can't just say, oh, so you know what happened yesterday, you know what happened this, you know what happened that, and this, and she woke up with this, and when she drank her coffee, she was like, right? And she didn't really drink her whole coffee. Like, okay, all this small little details is not going to make a difference, right? That's not really relieving the stress. It's like the big thing. It's like, oh, we just had our 6-month anniversary, and nothing happened, and I brought flowers, and she just looked at them and put them in the garbage, and like whatever, right? We're talking about something with a little more juice to it, right? Sort of say, right? And also, in either case, a person should share only as much information as necessary, and be careful that no harm should be caused to anyone by the revelation, right? So there's two categories, but both categories, you also have to be very careful with what you say. All right, number one is a professional, professional in the sense of someone that can actually help you with advice and how to deal with things. All right, that's number one. All right, someone like that you could go to, you could talk, you could even give more details. You could, talk about more scenarios, because a lot of times that small little thing that you might think that important, a lot of times triggers a thought of I think I caught what's going on. Right? And someone that can help you, that's fine. Someone that you need to talk to just to stress out. You're gonna go shoot some pool, or you're gonna go, whatever, hang out by the pool, and just stick your feet in and talk, or go for a walk, or go for a run, or whatever it is. Right? Someone you just need to stress out with. Right? So then that's also called toelis, because it's beneficial for you. But then you have to be very careful, right, of how much you say, right? And make sure that you only speak to the things that are really bothering you. Don't go on a tangent and start talking about every small little detail, right? Because that's not really what's stressing you out. We all go through that. Everybody, that's just compounding, right, on the thing that's really bothering you. So then you have to be careful to talk about the things that are really bothering you. And my friends, in this situation, it's probably a lot harder, because typically when you just lay back, you just want to lay it all out. You just want to stress out completely. There's rules to stressing, to laying it all out. And it's not a free for all. Just because you want to lay it all out doesn't mean to say that you're allowed to talk about the stupid things that the other person did that you think are stupid, but are irrelevant to your stress and will make the other person look like not in a good place. You don't have the right to that. Sorry. You don't. You're allowed to stress out, but within a certain confines. And this is important, right? Not to get too off topic, right? But this is important in Jewish philosophy, right? We have the rights to certain things, but our rights to certain things are limited. They are limited, right? I'm not allowed to hurt someone else. I have the right to be healthy, but doesn't mean to say that I could, do certain things on Shabbos or eat certain things just because they're officially healthier. I don't have the right to do that. Right? I don't. God tells me not to do that, so that means to say it's not really the best for me. That's what I believe. Oh, but this or that, and my bit. No, you don't have full rights. I'm sorry. The land of the free is not fully free. Even our land of the free is not fully free. Right? I can't go through a red light if I want to. Right? It's the land of the free. I should be allowed to do what I want. Why can't I go through a red light? Because the land of the free still has rules. In the confines of the rules, you have freedom, right? I have the freedom to choose to go through a red light, to say that I'm allowed to go through a red light. So just because we have the right to go ahead and de-stress, right, doesn't mean to say we could say everything we want. And as I said, it's a general rule, right? But especially in this scenario where it's something that is so common, right? Making sure that we don't also harm the other person. Right. And in this way, between me and you, sometimes it will be better just to go to not promoting to go to bars, right? But go to a random bar, right? Sports bar, nice, clean sports bar, right? Sit down, get a drink, and lay your woes out to the person sitting next to you. Probably is not interested in listening to it, or to the bartender. That's part of their job, right? They're the best therapists, right? And because they don't know who you're talking about, right? And they don't know who it is, and don't say any names. So in that way, you're avoiding a lot of things. So you say some things, right, that you are stressing out about, but there's no harm, and you're able to stress out. I'm not saying to do that, but I'm just bringing this idea out that you don't have the freedom to hurt other people, even if you might be getting hurt yourself, right? You don't have that freedom, right? And that's an important rule, right, in general, and especially with Lashon Hara, which is something that happens very often. Okay, we're going to stop here today. Sorry for the delay. As Bonnie pointed out, next week, God willing, we'll start 9:30. This be better. We'll go from 9:30 to 15, and that way we will be able to, God willing, start on time. Okay, I'm going to stop the recording.